What's going on, guys? What's going on, girls? Sal here, back again. Welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down and taking a little bit of a deeper look. It's only Wednesday, but as much as we can on this divisional round slate on Draftkings for the NFL. These slates are great, right? It's a great time of the year. It's a new year. You're sticking to maybe your New Year diets. Maybe you're not. Who knows? But at this point, it's fun, right? Whether your team's in the playoffs or not, it's fun to have these 4-game slates on 2 days. It's a load of fun. We had one last week, and then we're just going to have one this week, and then it's over, right? And then it gets just down to the 2-game slates, the showdown slates from here on out we could have some fun with. But yeah, let's try and break down this slate. For those of you that are new here, my name is Sal Vetri, the host of this episode of this show. Whether you're listening on audio, hello. Whether you're watching the YouTube video, hello. There is a podcast, and there's a YouTube channel, whether you don't know about the other one. So I urge you to check them out. But hello, welcome. I urge you to subscribe to this channel. Hit up the like button below if you want to get entered into a $10 PayPal and let me know who's going to be the highest scoring wide receiver this weekend. DraftKings points, PPR style. And another thing I'll urge you to do is check out the description below. There's a lot of cool things down there. You can get into our exclusive Facebook group. Probably the coolest thing that a lot of people have liked a lot. There's how to be contrarian, or if you want to be more contrarian, set yourself up to be more optimal. I wrote basically a 9-page PDF. It's there for free. You can click below and it'll get sent to you. You can download the PDF, and it's just really tips on being more contrarian, how to see that your biases are getting the best of you in certain situations, how to discover things that you might not have even thought were ever there in fantasy, and not a lot of people are doing them because they just think it's not optimal, but maybe it is. Just all that down below. You can check it out in the show notes or in the description. Download it. I urge you to check it out. Hit up that Facebook group and see what else is down there, because there's a lot of cool discounts or whatever it is I'm trying to get for you guys and the rest of the community. So let's get into this, guys. Again, I appreciate it if you're this far. If you could hit the subscribe button. Trying by the end of the NFL season to get to 2,000 subscribers, meaning the end of the playoffs, Super Bowl, so February. So we got a couple weeks. Bold, prediction, or maybe it's just a bold ask, but it's something I think we can do. The community's great. We've been growing. So let's get into it now. A couple minutes have passed now that we're here. Welcome. And I do this. I break these down. I go by position, right? I go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, who cares, right? That's how it is. Just spin the lottery for the defense. But I'm going to break these down, and it is Wednesday. It's early. We don't know some injury news still. We're waiting on Cole Beasley. That could open up a lot of things at minimum price wide receivers in the Cowboys offense. There's 2 of them that could potentially be in play. We don't know some other things, just how healthy some players are, whether it's Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley. Just because there's only been 1 practice so far, and that was today, and some teams haven't even released their practice reports yet. So definitely early in the week, other things can always come up, freak things out of nowhere. But with limited teams, limited players, we pretty much know what the slate's going to look like. So on here, Wednesday, again, I make my lineups Fridays, Saturdays usually. So with these slates starting on a Saturday, I'll make my lineups probably Friday. Tinker with them Saturday morning, since we have some time till those games start. I think they start at 4 on Saturday. 4:35, yep, the Colts and Chiefs. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing, right? I'm going to be making my lineups on Friday. So right now I'm going to break down some guys that are sticking out to me earlier in the week, guys that I definitely want to try and get in my lineups as of now. But as I break down these things, a lot of things can change. You can check out how my mindset's going. They're not my picks or anything, but it's just open. If you go to Draft Dashboard, there's a link in the description, 30 days for $1. It's this right here. I've showed it a bunch. But you can just check out where my mindset is. I mean, there's no need to do it, but if you're like, oh, what's Sal thinking? Where is he at today? My player pool will be in there. So starting with Patrick Mahomes, he's obviously the hot guy, right? He's $7,000. He's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be the MVP. And he's in a smash spot basically every week, especially when he's not playing a top 5 defense, even though those don't seem to really harm him too much. But Patrick Mahomes in a good spot. I haven't built too many lineups with him in it, though. Depending on what happens with Cole Beasley, maybe we can get up there if we can get down to one of those $3,000 Dallas wide receivers. But right now, really haven't spent much time on Patty Mahomes, and really haven't spent too much time on Drew Brees. But I do want to come back to Drew Brees because he's playing that Eagles secondary. So later in the week, I'm going to try and emphasize more getting lineups with him in it. Again, I've only tinkered with a few lineups. But a guy who stands out is Andrew Luck at 6,200. A guy that in my first look I picked as my quarterback. I mean, the guy's throwing multiple touchdown passes in every game but one. Again, he can get you points on the ground. He's going up against the Chiefs. There's a scare here because the Chiefs are worse against the run, a lot worse against the run than many teams, and they have a better pass defense, which isn't saying much, but it is actually a little bit better, and it's better at home. And the reason the Chiefs' pass defense does get a bad rep is, one, I mean, they're not that great, right? But also because teams are primarily throwing the ball against them. So like stuff like yards and things like that are going to pile up when quarterbacks are throwing for 40 to 50 times instead of in the mid to low 30s, right? So that's just going to always add up. But that's not to say that the Chiefs have any ballers on defense, right? Because they really don't. And it's kind of hard when your team's just going up and down the field and scoring and you're right back on the field. And teams you can kind of play a little prevent in situations. But Andrew Luck on the road, that would be like the only thing that I'm a little bit scared of, is the Colts keep this game close, which I do think they keep this game close. I do like the Colts side of this, and if you're taking it from a betting perspective, which something, if you're watching this right now, drop in the comments below. Do you want me to do some betting videos? I do bet myself using different types of betting services now that it is legal. Now that it is legal, it's just easier to talk about on YouTube and things like that. People don't feel as insecure or scared of it or think it's some negative thing, right? It's basically the stock market for sports people. You can get the same, if not better, returns if you're smart with your money. If you just want to throw it in there for entertainment, you can do that in the stock market as well, right? But if you have interest in betting or anything like that, let me know. Put it down in the comments, and I can start doing some betting videos once a week for NFL type things, NBA here and there. Definitely the Super Bowl, that'll be fun, lots of props. So let me know about that. But in terms of betting, I like the Colts on this side of this game, taking them with the points that you get. But yeah, I mean, if the Colts keep this game close, then there's a scary chance that Marlon Mack gets his 20 to 25 touches that he's just been getting for the past 3 weeks to a month of the season, because that's the way that you can attack the Chiefs a little bit better and more efficiently, because they do give up chunks on the ground. But I'm still not worried, because if the Colts do keep it close, I don't ever think it's going to be a situation where the Colts get up by a touchdown or two and it's that way the entire game, right? If that's the case, that's the Marlon Mack game script that we've seen for kind of the past couple of weeks. But if it is this situation where the Colts are down maybe a touchdown, a field goal, or they get up by a field goal, and it's really a one-score game the whole time either way, or the Colts are down big, which again benefits Luck a little bit, or better than Mack at least. I do like Luck in that situation, right? At $6,200, I think Luck is a solid play this weekend. I think the range of Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady in that game in general is going to be overlooked, because you have some games that have just high shoot-up potential, right? I mean, three of the highest scoring offenses with the Rams, Saints, and Chiefs. Those games are going to be the ones that draw attention. The Chiefs and Colts being a fast-paced team, right? One of the fastest-paced teams in the game. This game has the highest total. It's going to have the best pace. It's probably going to have overall, in terms of each team, probably the best playmakers when you consider 2 of the top tight ends in that game, 2 of the top quarterbacks, Tyreek Hill, you're going to get Damian Williams, you're going to get Marlon Mack, you're going to get T.Y. Hilton. Probably the best playmakers that can just torch it and break the slate, one of those guys out of there. So I think this Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady area is interesting, but I personally haven't dove too much deep into it. If I had to pick, I'm choosing Tom Brady at home in this situation, and there's a sneaky stack of a Tom Brady, a James White, and a Rob Gronkowski, and then you bring it back with somebody like a Keenan Allen or a Gordon, whoever you really want on the other side, that nobody's going to be playing those stacks. And by nobody, I don't mean 0 people. I mean the far majority of people. It's going to be a very under-owned stack. Everybody's going to be stacking their lineups with a Patrick Mahomes, a Drew Brees, Andrew Luck, or probably a Nick Foles. And those other guys that I didn't name automatically make you differentiated or a contrarian just based on the fact that you're playing them, and other people aren't. So I lean a little bit more towards Brady in that Jared Goff, Rivers, and Brady range. Goff, if I have to touch on him, he's good if the other team can score, right? And we know Dallas can score, but I could feel like this game is going to be a Gurley versus Zeke battle, which we'll get to. And I don't want to touch it. Nick Foles is the guy. So right now it's Andrew Luck number 1 right now for me. Nick Foles is number 2, right? And the thing to point out is when teams play each other multiple times, it could be dangerous to target those games. But Nick Foles didn't play the first time that the Saints played the Eagles, because just you're familiar with them. You get better tape on what they did against your specific defense, so you know how you can adjust a little bit better. Foles didn't play that game. That's when Wentz was in. They got blown out in that game. So that's just, I mean, it might not make any difference, but it's just something to actually note. Going into this game, I do like Nick Foles better than some of the other plays like around him, like better than a Dak Prescott. He's at $5,400. He's a huge savings. He's almost $1,000 savings from Luck. That gets you up at wide receiver and possibly running back to a different tier, a more elite tier. And really, how much are you taking Andrew Luck to Nick Foles? Is that big of a downgrade? Or you could even go Drew Brees to Nick Foles. That might be a little bit more of a downgrade, but you're saving $1,300 now in a similar matchup where the potential to be a shootout. Yes, the Saints' defense has been improved. Yes, the Saints at home, their defense has looked even better. But again, we're looking for value here. We're looking to build lineups, maybe be a little bit contrarian. I do like Foles. I think a lot of people are going to be on Foles. They're going to see that 32 by the Saints defense on DraftKings. They're going to like it. They're going to pair him with Alshon Jeffrey. Maybe now I'm reciting your cash game and tournament lineups. I would be a little bit more contrarian. Maybe go to Ertz, who had a bad game last time against them. Pay up a little bit where people are probably going to be targeting that Colts and Chiefs games again by going either with Kelsey or Ebron. So we got a little bit over the place there, but that's where I'm at right now is Andrew Luck and Foles are what I'm looking at, and I'm leaning a little bit towards Tom Brady. So Mahomes is like the shoe-in, right? If I can get up there, get a $3,000 minimum price guy or somebody cheap, build my lineups. If I can get up there, I will. And the reason I keep saying get up there, and I'm going to go over to running back now, is because I want to play Zeke and Gurley. Like, I want to jam them both in there. All year it's worked when you jam guys in like this who are getting 25 touch volume. Zeke is getting 25 plus touches. Todd Gurley, basically every single week. There's a stretch in there where it was like, can this guy score under 25 points? He did. I'm fine if people want to choose between the two because I'll snag both of them, right? At $8,200 and $8,000, I think a lot of people are going to go Zeke over Gurley, and honestly, I'm going to take both of them. I'll take my potential 50 to 60 touches from two running backs who are 3 down backs, who get all the goal line work, who have incredible passing game abilities, and don't try and think and sit here that Todd Gurley hasn't been a passer as of late, because in the last 3 games that he's played, he's averaging over 8 targets a game, which is pretty similar to this insane Zeke roll that we're seeing. In the last 3 games that Zeke's played, he's averaging in there just about 6.5 targets a game, so Zeke does have incredible receiving game, but Gurley's just as good. And I mean, we all know Gurley can catch the ball, but Zeke has been getting that hype as of late. So just a reminder that these guys are in the exact same situation in that they both have decent lines. They both have pretty solid offenses now that Amari Cooper's in Dallas. It takes some of that attention, 8-man boxes off of Zeke, 3 down backs, goal line work, receiving game work, kind of game flow independent backs. Even if their team's down by a touchdown or 2, they can still stay in the game basically every snap. They're also good blockers. So I want both of them. The range that I will just touch on, Alvin Kamara, I think he's definitely a sneaky play going up against those Eagles. The last time they played, there was really no use for Kamara since they got up so big, and it was kind of spread out in that game. Ingram had a good game. Kamara did catch a deep touchdown late when they kind of just were putting the throttle down on the Eagles, running up the score. Kamara's a good pivot play. If you can somehow fit all 3 of these guys in your lineup, go for it. I haven't tried it. I don't even know if it's viable or possible, but he's at 7,300. He could be a good pivot to go Zeke and Kamara, Gurley and Kamara, and that's still a pretty solid lineup. Just Kamara's touches now are ranging to, if you get 15 touches out of him, you're happy, whereas you could pretty much lock in 15 to 20 for a Zeke and a Gurley. On these smaller game slates, I think you have to be differentiated. I don't think a lot of people are going to play both guys, and even if they do, I'm going to find my ways to be different, and I think I already have those ways. So I'll plug in like a Zeke and a Gurley. I'll just put them into this lineup that I'm building just to see what it looks like. You get $4,828 remaining. That's with having cheap options at wide receiver, tight end. I mean, even running back, and obviously our defense is going to get us down. Running back a little more, don't want to touch Marlon Mack, and I had him in my first look lineup mistakenly. Some people pointed that out, and I agree with you. Marlon Mack is not a guy who gets the ball in the receiving game, and I had Andrew Luck in that first look lineup. If you haven't checked that out, you can check out the first look lineup. It was posted on Monday, podcast and video. But Marlon Mack, you can't pair him with Andrew Luck and feel confident, right? Because there's no correlation there. Marlon Mack's lucky if he gets 2 to 3 targets. He's not going to catch a touchdown pass. If he does, it's the first one of the year. It's going to be random, right? He's not going to get 6 catches in a game. So it's very bad to try and correlate him with his quarterback. Running backs that catch the ball are much more correlated with their quarterbacks. On these small game slates, at least, right? If this was a 16-game slate, go ahead, go for it, try and win the lottery in one of these tournaments. But I want to get a little more correlation, maybe on Yahoo. If you haven't checked out Yahoo, they have no rake this weekend, which means that Yahoo's, the site itself, isn't taking any money, where DraftKings is going to take 10% of a $1,000 tournament. $900 would be paid out. DraftKings keeps $100. Yahoo's not doing that. They're letting all the money go to the people who are winning it, so more people are going to get money, and a lot more money. So good place to play. You could hit the link below to kind of get into those rake-free tournaments below. So yeah, I'm not on Mac. I'm really kind of right now I have blinders to Gordon and Ingram. I just personally do. Maybe that's a way to be contrarian, is to go to a guy like Mark Ingram. I don't think anybody's going to be touching that. I'm probably not. Damian Williams at 5,100 is going to be an absolute smash play if we get any word on Spencer Ware not playing or being limited, or Damian Williams just being the lead back there. It scares me if Spencer Ware plays. I'm probably not going to play him just because it's uncertainty, and I don't trust Andy Reid to give Damian Williams the ball, even though they just paid him. Williams is definitely the better play. I just don't trust Andy Reid to kind of just feed him 20 touches, right? And at 5,100, if Spencer wears out, Williams is an absolute lock play. He's going to be the highest owned guy on the entire slate, without a doubt, if we get word that wears out anytime before, like 30 minutes before. The next guy I'll talk about here, and the last guy I'll talk about, is James White at $4,900. This guy's too cheap. That's it. This guy's too cheap. I wrote about it in my blog. You can check out the blog below. You could get some posts there. I write whenever I really just feel like it, honestly. I could write daily, but I like doing the videos more. James White's going to be on a tournament-winning team, I said. He's going to be this weekend winning people tournaments. He's going to have his 1 touchdown or 2 touchdown game on 10 catches for 80 yards, right? He's going to have his tournament-winning game this weekend. I'm already calling it, and I still probably won't put him in my lineup. I'm going to try and play around with him. He's 4,900. He's not going to have, we can look at his game logs here. He's not going to have anything on the ground. You need him in the receiving game. So it's a dart, right? Like I'm saying, I want all this quantity, and that's what I'm trying to get because he's 4,900. I want to lock up my quantity in the rushing game with Zeke and Gurley because they can easily get me 50 to 60 touches, right? If they get their basically normal role, it can possibly get me a combined 4 touchdowns between those guys. And then it would be safe probably to go to somebody else. And again, this isn't a final lineup at all, but I'm just saying you throw a James White in there who excels in the playoffs, who outside of Julian Edelman, he's probably the most reliable guy for Tom Brady. And it's going to be a cold, snowy type game. Don't know how much snow though, but Tom Brady checked down Brady as he's been for the past 4 years, and the system works. I could see that coming out in full force in a cold, snowy game where you can't really get the ball too deep, can't get a good grip on the ball. Those checkdowns to the line of scrimmage to James White, he could be catching 10 balls in this game, and again, he excels in the playoffs. This could definitely be a way to target the Chargers, who do have a better pass secondary. Julian Edelman is his best receiver, right? He has the most red zone looks, he has the most targets per week. And Julian Edelman is going to have to face Desmond King, PFF's #1 cornerback. So this is a scary week for Julian Edelman. If he gets taken out just a bit, it's going to force Brady to look away from the slot and look next to James White if he's on the field. The only scary thing is if the Patriots get up big in this game, which I really don't see that happening against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a good team, but if they do, it could be the Sony Michel show. I do like James White at 4,900. Again, if this guy was 5,900, it's a different story, right? But at 4,900, if it's a situation where he can get 10 targets in a game like this, and that's a lot, but it's also viable, I like him at 4,900 because he's also not going to be owned, right? So this is the way that I would differentiate something like this. Now, I'm not going to build you out a lineup, but that's just the 3 running backs that I think I'm liking. And again, if Damian Williams somehow plays, or Damian Williams is the only guy playing and Spencer Ware somehow doesn't play, I like Damian Williams a ton more. For $200 more, he's an absolute smash play. He's going to be the highest owned guy in the slate, and you probably shouldn't fade him. So wide receivers now. Look, Michael Thomas is a stud position. Last time out against the Eagles, he had 4 catches on 4 targets, 92 yards, and a touchdown. They blew him out. He didn't have to do too much more. But I like Michael Thomas in this situation. I just don't know if I'll be able to get up to him because I'm going to be paying for 4,900, or I'm going to be paying for these 2 guys a little more expensive at the running back position, in Zeke and Gurley, and potentially Kamara. However I pair that up, that's where my head's at right now. I'm not going to be able to get up to Michael Thomas, even though I want to target this Eagles secondary, because we saw last week a guy like Allen Robinson, shout out Penn State, he had a career game, right? Dude went for 10 catches, over 130 yards and a touchdown. And that could very well happen with Michael Thomas, and the guy can go for a career game again like he did earlier in the season, not against the Eagles, but like he did earlier in the season where he went for 200 yards and a touchdown. He could viably do this. You have to think the Eagles are trying to take somebody out in this game. It's easier to take a guy like Michael Thomas out than a guy like Kamara out, just because running backs can line up anywhere. They can line up in the backfield and catch little balls. It's easier to take a guy like Thomas out, and that's what teams have been doing, right? But I'm not going to say anything bad. If you can get up to Thomas, go for it. I'm just building my lineups as of now a different way. Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper, they're kind of in the same category of guys that can either go for 5 points or they can absolutely break the slate and go for 40-plus points, right? If I had to choose between the two, I'm probably going to go with Cooper. Tournaments, they both make sense. I just like Cooper a little bit better. I like Tyreek's situation because he's at home a little bit better, but honestly, Tyreek's career splits, he's absolutely better on the road. Although primetime games, which every playoff game is a primetime games, he likes to show out. So Tyreek can break the slate. Definitely got to keep an eye on. Those are 2 guys that right now I'm trying to get around in my lineups. But I'm going to skip over some people. Again, we mentioned Julian Edelman playing Desmond King. I think Keenan Allen's an interesting pivot play in that same exact range where there's the Amaris and the Edelmans. But the guy that I'm most excited to play this weekend is Robert Woods. So Robert Woods is at $5,900. He's at home against Dallas. He's going to avoid Byron Jones. The way you target Dallas is in the slot. You can get success against Dallas in the slot. You can get yours, give it up to the slot. And he's basically Mr. Consistent except for last week, and that's in our favor. He had 4.5 points last week, 2 catches on 3 targets for 24 yards. He had 1 rushing attempt for 1 yard, 4.5 DraftKings points. People are going to see that and they're going to shy away from him because there's other guys like Jeffrey in this range. There's guys like Edelman who did better in the previous weeks, maybe a little bit hotter of the discussion. But Robert Woods is a guy who basically catches 70 or gets 70 receiving yards every week, is catching 5 to 10 balls every single week, has touchdown upside. He's in the slot where Jared Goff likes to look. He's, like we said, he's going to avoid Byron Jones on the outside where Brandon Cooks will be. And he's going to probably have a little bit more suppressed ownership. And this is a guy that's been living in the mid to high 6K range, touching the 7K range at times, and now he's below 6K, a spot that if we look back and try and see, he hasn't been below 6K since week 4 of the regular season. That's just how good and consistent he's been. Now he's below that. I'm jumping all over Robert Woods. He's at 5,900. Like, even if this guy was at 7,500, he's still probably a good play. But he's at 5,900. There's such a price difference right there. It's a misprice by DraftKings, in my opinion. I want all the Robert Woods I can get. Over definitely Brandon Cooks, who's a little bit cheaper. Over, I do like Jeffrey this week, but even over Jeffrey, who's right in the same price range, and I think a lot more people are going to gravitate to Jeffrey, even suppressing Woods ownership more. We've talked about that psychologically, some of my strategy videos, some of the PDF that you guys should download below. We've talked about how people who are the same price or priced closely, one of them is going to be taking all the ownership and the other one's not going to have any ownership or a lot less than they should. Jeffrey's the guy who's the hot in the media right now. Nick Foles is hot in the media. The Eagles themselves are just a hotter team right now than the Rams because the Eagles just played. There's going to be a lot more ownership on Jeffrey in that range. Dontrell Inman at 4,800. He's running the same amount of routes as T.Y. Hilton out there. They both ran 35 the past week. He's a great play at $4,800. Other than that, I'll mention the Eagles receivers at wide receiver Golden Tate and Aguilar. Golden Tate now out pricing Aguilar, even though their roles basically both stayed the same. So I think this is a little bit of a misprice. The fact that Golden Tate last week was $600 less than Aguilar, and now he's $300 more than Aguilar, which is a $900 price difference, basically because Golden Tate got in the end zone, right? They're both getting the same role. Aguilar is still getting the same amount of time out there. He still had 6 targets last week. There's not a big difference. It's just the fact that Tate got in the end zone. I think that's a misprice. So if you do want to jump on Aguilar at 4,300, it's probably a smart pivot away from Tate, who people are going to see scored a touchdown last week, who was playing a Chicago team that he's very used to going up against twice a year. And when he was in Detroit, knows the defenders, knows the scheme a little bit better. And also, I just think it's a misprice in general. The next thing is Ted Ginn versus Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith last time absolutely lit up the Eagles. I'm leaning Ted Ginn, and I did it in my first look, and I probably still am. And this is another spot where I'm going to try and differentiate a lineup. Ted Ginn, he's a little more expensive than Traquan. I think both guys might be a little less owned than you would expect because there's other guys in this area that are going to garner some ownership, like Nelson Aguilar potentially, Golden Tate probably. And then for a little bit more, you get the Dontrell Inman, who's probably going to get all the ownership. But Traquan Smith's probably the more explosive player than Ted Ginn just because he's younger. He's done it before. He's done it twice this season, breaking slates. But Ted Ginn's going to get his. And you can't really look too much into his last game because none of the starters are playing. But he gets his. He runs his routes. He's starting over Traquan still unless we get any other news. So right now I'm on Ted Ginn. He's not a bit as exciting or a sexy play, but if he gets the points, I'll take it. Michael Gallup, I mean, he makes fair play. Here's something we could talk about, something else that I talk about in that PDF. Again, download it. It's good. I want to hear your guys' feedback on it. If you download it or you subscribe and you're still watching, let me know below in the description. And I just want to meet you guys. So, or thank you for downloading it. I'm trying to hone my writing skills, trying to get a job somewhere. But yeah, Gallup, I think I'll touch on it is if Beasley doesn't play, there's going to be a lot of attention on Gallup. Oh, Gallup, like more targets for Gallup. And that's not necessarily true. That's where people just are mistaken. The areas to target there are the guys who are going to fill in directly for Beasley. Gallup's on the outside. Beasley's in the slot. So similar to what happened to Emmanuel Sanders this year. He went out. Everybody was like, Courtland Sutton. Sutton did nothing. And Deshaun Hamilton from Penn State, shout out Penn State, he did everything, right? He came in and he basically filled that role, getting 7 to 8 targets, catching touchdowns. So in this situation, I would like to see for the Cowboys, and we mentioned already, minimum price, what wide receiver is going to be getting the work? Is it going to be Tavon Austin? Is it going to be Noah Brown? Now, Jerry Jones said that he's optimistic that Beasley plays, so we probably don't have to look into this too much, but that's where my head would be going. Who's going to fill into the slot? It's probably going to be Noah Brown, honestly, but maybe it's Tavon Austin for Cole Beasley. If anything happens with Beasley, a setback, that's where I'm going to be looking. That's about it for wide receiver. Not going to really touch on anything else down here in this range. It's basically a wasteland once you get down there. I'm not throwing darts with any of those guys. Tight end, it's pretty quick every week with tight end, and this week we actually probably have the 4 best tight ends in the league on here with Kelsey, Ertz, Ebron, and Gronk, right? At least fantasy-wise, I'm probably missing somebody, but fantasy-wise, probably the 4 best. And I mean, the option is you should probably pay up if you can to Kelsey, Ertz, or Ebron, right? Now, Kelsey's just $1,300 more than everybody, so it's going to make it a little more difficult. He's probably worth the price. You get a guy like Ertz who, last week in the playoffs, he didn't do too great, right? He kind of had what is usually his floor game around 5 catches, 50 yards, but that's a tight end, and he's priced at $5,700. You can double tight end here if you'd like. I'm fine with that with any of these 4 guys, really. A guy that I'm looking at, though, and both of them, I like them because they're a little bit cheaper, and they probably have the same amount of upside. Eric Ebron, just touchdown equity, just targets the amount of routes he's running out of the slot, and just different positions on the field, the way he's been utilized all year. He's great at $5,500. And then Gronk at $4,600. Look, Gronk's been a guy that has been more of a lineman than a tight end this year, right? But we already mentioned that it's the playoffs, and Edelman's probably going to be taken out or a little more limited than he usually is with Desmond King on him, which could free up James White potentially, but it could also give more space for Gronk to get a little bit loose. Now, there are pass rushers out there with Bosa and Ingram, so that could hurt a little bit, Gronk maybe having to stay on the line. But I think that they've been keeping Gronk out, playing safe with him in the regular season, keeping him out a little bit extra with his injury because they want him for the postseason, potentially his last postseason of the year. So I'm fine playing Gronk at $4,600. That's just a smash spot at that price. I think he should be in the 5K range, especially on this slate when there's just not a lot of tight end options. Below that, I mean, you guys can take your pick. You guys can let your opponents guess with Dallas Goedert, who's going to catch, 2 balls and maybe find that 15-yard touchdown like he did last week. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. You guys shouldn't want that. Blake Jarwin, who did fine a couple weeks back when Zeke wasn't in and the game didn't matter and they were just throwing the ball around. I don't want that. I don't want anybody down here. I don't want ancient old Ben Watson or Antonio Gates. I don't want that, right? Hunter Henry, he's interesting at $2,800 because he's off the PUP list. It's just how much are they going to use him? How much does he know the system? He's been out all year. Can he just come in and perform? I'm sure he can. He's a young guy who has talent. So maybe that's the only spot I throw a dart, but I'm probably not going to be putting my money that is actually hard-earned money on the line for a guy who hasn't played in a minute of a game this season when we have all these great tight end options up here. Again, all 4 of them are great options. Double them up. I like Gronk. I like Ebron personally just because I'm paying up, so I have to try and save money somewhere. If you're still listening right now, I thank you. I appreciate it. That's pretty much it, guys. That's my breakdown right now for this week. Thank you so much all season long for listening. Subscribe if you're watching right now and you still aren't subscribed. Please subscribe. Greatly appreciate any subscribers that we get before the end of the year. Trying to hit that 2K mark for the year. Again, join the Facebook group below. It's popping off in there. We got a lot of cool guys and girls just putting in a ton of information, bouncing ideas off each other. People are winning. It's a ton of fun. And download that PDF. Check out the description below. You got discounts on Draft Dashboard. Yahoo and Draftkings promos are going to be down there. Just getting into those Yahoo free tournaments and just all these different things. So make sure you check it all out. I appreciate it. My name's Sal. Best of luck, everybody. Peace.